everybody. I appreciate you taking the time to come out and learn a little about accessibility. So, a few years ago, I went to the National Federation of the Blind Convention. It's the largest convention in the world of blind people, and it happened to be in my backyard in Orlando. It wasn't this year. I think it was actually in Vegas this year. Prior to that, I've been there every year, and it's amazing to see the individuals there that are struggling with technology. Really learned a lot. And I met Matt Mullenweg one year, and he brought up a good point to me, actually, that he said about accessibility. Most people think accessibility is someone who's blind or has a motor function disability, but the fact is every single one of us will be disabled at some point in our lives. Every one of us. We're born that way, we're gonna end up that way, somewhere in between, we're gonna break an arm, a leg. We will be in a position of needing accessibility. So that's what brings me here. We audit, remediate, build WordPress sites for accessibility. We teach how to be compliant and stay compliant to companies. We use WordPress, and I personally go around America giving accessibility talks. This time it's a Trojan horse inside of an SEO Talk. This is just our story. Again, the NFB, that's when we decided that we really needed to do something. Nobody really seemed to be doing anything. And once we made that conscious decision to do something, I found that there was very little information out there to actually tell me what to do. That's when we realized that we needed to get the word out. So that brings us here. Your SEO depends on your accessibility. You didn't even know it. I'm going to explain why SEO and accessibility are so important, and then I'm going to kind of give you a brief overhaul of what SEO and accessibility are, what they have in common, and at the very end I'm going to give you some free tools for your accessibility. All right, what is accessibility SEO? Accessibility is a very broad term, so I'm just going to break it down into it's basically compliance to WCAG. You got WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. The most current version is 2.1, and this is basically the guidelines for the entire world. What was happening was there was a danger of a lot of different guidelines getting ready to be made, and that would have really thrown a wrench into things because we would all be running on a different set of guidelines. So what the W3C did was they come together and they just put together guidelines themselves. Now everybody follows the same set. SEO, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what SEO is, search engine optimization. If you're in the digital space, you live by and die by your SEO. So, a few facts. Over 1.3 billion people have some sort of disability. Think about that, 1.3 billion people with a B, okay? $490 billion in disposable income from these individuals, from working age people. $8 trillion in income from friends and family of these individuals. Now I say these things because I want to speak everybody's language here. I want everybody to understand how much, be careful when I say that, how much money is out there to be had by making sure your site is accessible and reaching people that are not being reached out to at this point. This isn't why I do it. I do it because I just believe in helping the end user. Again, there's over 1 billion people in the world that need our help accessing the internet. They use some sort of assistive technology to access this. So that's where my heart lies. But again, I'm not talking to myself here. So I want to try to connect to everybody here. There's a lot of meat on the bone to be had. Another good point about this money is that a lot of people, the majority of websites out there are not compliant, do not cater to these individuals. So if anybody here, well, I'm sure everybody here relies on your SEO, you are opening up a section of individuals that your competition more than likely is not trying to reach.
Question.
Yes?
Is there any way to check your competition for
Yeah, I mean, when I get bored at night, I mean, just recently I went and did all the candidates, presidential candidates. I just went to their website and I just run a couple of quick accessibility tests, automated tests on their homepage, and every single one of them failed. Nine out of 10 of them failed miserably. Had 70 plus violations just on the homepage. So you can go to whoever your competition is, run a quick accessibility test, and I'll give you some tools at the end that are free. Take it 15 minutes. And again, we will be disabled at some point. All right, some things we got SEO and accessibility have in common. Page title tags, headings, descriptive anchor text, alternative text, transcripts, sitemaps, good content, text size and spacing, remove your broken links, and of course, the holy grail is increase usability for your users. Anybody who knows anything about SEO, they know Google is all about that usability of your users, about giving the users the content that they want. When they type in that search box, accessibility, web accessibility, how to. Google's going to try to give that person the information that's as relevant to their query that they can. All right, we're going to jump right into it. Title tags. Title tags help people with screen readers. This is very common. I'm sure more than likely everybody here has good title tags, but it's very, very important. And when I do come across websites that don't have these, it's a big, big deal. Your SEO benefits. Your title tag determines, what displays out there. They tell Google what your page is about. They help the Google bots, the crawlers. They help crawl your site, and it helps them understand what your site is and what the page is that they're crawling, so they know if someone's looking for web accessibility how-to, then that's the title of my page. That's definitely going to help me in the rankings. Obviously, in everything I say tonight, there's no one thing that's just going to shoot your rankings through. That's not really what this is about. So just understand that. And another thing too is if an individual, when they're clicking on Google, they're looking for something, and again, we're going to stick with accessibility how-to, and they go to a page that's not accessibility how-to, they're going to click right off of that. And we all know what that does to our Google rankings. That drops it, because Google knows now that that's not what that person was looking for. So it's very important that your page titles accurately describe what your page is about. They just have to. And if the individual did type in accessibility how-to, went to my page, saw that it was about that, and they spent a lot of time on there because they got the content that they wanted, Google's going to recognize that as well. And it's going to say, okay, I'm going to show that to more people. I'm going to bring that up a little bit because it works. Your good header structure. You got to make sure your header structures follow a logical sequence. Now, I know from years ago doing SEO, I loved H1 tags, H1 headers. I would keyword stuff all over the place. This is before I really understood SEO. But you'd be surprised on how many people I actually meet that still do that. Use your headers to keyword stuff. You don't want to do that. And you want to make sure, and what I would do is I'd go through my page, and every time, instead of a bold, I would just use an H tag and on keyword stuff. So I'd have H1s and H2s all over the place. You don't want to do that, because blind users, specifically, when they navigate your page, they use an assistive technology called a screen reader. I'm sure we're all somewhat familiar with a screen reader. But what they do is they'll also use a keyboard to navigate. So when they're going through your page, you want to make sure it's H1, H2, H3, because as they're tabbing through, it goes to H1s first, and then it goes to H2s, then to H3. So if you have an H1, if you have all kinds of H1s, then the H3, it's going to go all the way down and come back up to the H3. That's not a logical order. You want to have it H1s, H2, H3s. And it's also good to use your headers properly, and especially when it's coming to your content, to make sure that content is properly labeled. So that individual who's using accessive technology knows by going through the headers that that's the paragraph, that's the body of content that they want to read. All right, anchor tags. This is code word for descriptive links. We all use anchor text. They're all basically text links. Again, we're talking about individuals using screen readers here. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll set their screen reader up to just navigate links. They can set it up and just skip right from links. And Google likes your anchor text because it helps it understand where it's going, what the bots are. It helps with its with your page SEO. All right. Who here? Now we're all friends here. This is a safe space. Okay. Who here has used click more? Click here or read more. Okay. We got about a dozen honest people in here. That's okay. We'll work on that. So that's a bad example. Do not use click here or read more. Because what they do is when the blind user is going through the site and they come across a link, there's no context clues to help them with that. So all they hear is the screen reader say, link, click here, link, read more. And you imagine a page full of that, does nothing. So what you want to do, an example of a good description, is follow this link to John's pool cleaning service. So now, that low vision individual knows that link is going to John's pool cleaning service. They know that for a fact. Now Google knows that as well. This is good anchor text for Google. Google likes that. The alternative text. Alternative text is obviously used for accessibility assistive technology. When they come across, an individual is navigating your website, comes across a picture, and there's no text there, it's just going to say picture or image and just continue on. By adding a description of that picture to your alt text, you're now conveying what that image is to the individual using that assistive technology. And Google says 1/3 of all searches performed in Google are for images. And that's a fact. When I Google something, I like to go, when I Google all the images. And I want to see all the images that they have. And a lot of times too, even if you don't hit the images button at the top, you've got that row of images. You know, we have a few affiliate marketing sites and we get a ton of clicks from that. It's very, very important. Your images show up in more search results. Your images are more than likely unique to your site. And we all know Google loves uniqueness. But Google does not understand what that image is, the same as a blind user won't understand what that image is. So you have to add alt text. So Google now they don't keyword stuff too. I get that question a lot. Can I just keyword stuff? Just stick the word accessibility how to, don't do it. All right, this is Gutenberg. So anybody who's uploading an image, adding an alt tags is one of the easiest things to do, but it's also one of the hardest things to remediate. So when you add a picture, you can come right in here to your alt tags, add this. This was actually a device that allows you to see with your tongue. That was at the National Federation of the Blind, and it is real. So all I did was when I added the picture, I just come over and add the alt tags. And what I like to do, since this is SEO, when I add the alt text, I'll copy and paste and add that in the description as well. All right, adding your transcripts. Now this is one of the things that I feel is very underutilized for Google SEO. I'm sure a lot of us have videos and stuff. When we do videos, we use YouTube. It's very easy. You upload your video, you get a little source code, little link, you put it in on your site, and boom, you got a video. Okay. So that's closed captions and transcripts. The sneak here is with transcripts, that's just extra content. That's extra text. And in your video, more likely you're saying a lot of keywords, so you can get that transcript. You can actually add that to your page. I've seen a lot of people add it directly to their video. You just put it as a transcript. So you're kind of doubling up on your content, but not really, because you've got your video and now you've got your transcripts. You are helping individuals. You really are, and you're gaining that SEO benefit. Yes?
Can you recommend any apps that do that for you?
Well, as far as closed captions and things like that, YouTube does that automatically. You can upload or just pick a language, and YouTube will automatically do it. You can open it up to the front end and allow users who are watching your video to chime in and make a manuscript. And you can also, YouTube will allow you to play the video. It'll open up a video on the left and open up like a dock on the right that you can just type as the video is playing, and then you can download that. I mean, that's the free version. I know Amazon has a service where they'll take the audio and just transcribe it into a transcript for relatively cheap, but that's about it. Adding transcripts to your website improved organic search by 6.5%. That's big. That's really, really big, especially if you're talking about a website that's getting about 1,000 clicks. Our affiliate sites, we're in the 3,000 to 5,000 clicks a month, and if you're at 5 to 6% on top of that, that's extra money. That really is extra money. And you're opening up, and again, we're opening up your site to so many people, more than you would think. A little story I tell sometimes is a government agency. They built ramps down the side, because the government agency, they have those big giant steps out front and everything. They added a ramp to the side. And they were shocked by how many people actually used the ramp. They built the ramp for, disabled people, wheelchairs and stuff. But what they found was people with bicycles would use that instead of walk up the stairs. Moms with strollers or sleeping babies would walk up the ramp as opposed to walking up steps. The UPS guy bringing in boxes would use the ramp as opposed to steps. So they were shocked to find out how many people this actually opened it up to. They thought that they were going to only be opening up to a small segment of the population, but it really opened up to a lot. And our websites are the same way. When we do stuff like this, we think we're only helping the 1.3 billion people, but you are opening your site to so many more people. All right, well, here's a quick look at transcripts right here. Closed captions or subtitles. It just opens up this button. When you upload a video, you can go in there and just add it. Like I said, they'll automatically add it. You pick your language and add it. Sometimes it'll take a couple hours, sometimes it'll take a day or two, depending on the length of your video. But they will add it. Now an individual can come here and just hit this CC button, and all these will pop up. Very, very important. Sitemaps. You want to give individuals multiple ways to navigate your site. And people with screen readers, it helps them because they have a better understanding of your page. They can use a sitemap to better navigate your site as opposed to going to the drop-down nav menu that we all have on every single page and having to crawl through that. And remember, it helps with indexing your pages. I've come across, doing this a while, I've come across where a ton of pages somehow don't get indexed or connected because I forget to put them in, the drop-down menu, the nav menu and stuff. So your sitemap helps with that. So if you do forget that, it does make every page obtainable. And remember, your Google search bots, your crawlers, treat them, they're just like, I'm talking about users with disabilities, but everything I'm saying, it translates to Google bots, crawlers. It gives them more pages to index. It helps them, it makes them easier. All right, good contrast. This is very important, obviously for accessibility, but also for Google search, because if you go to a site that has terrible contrast ratio, you're probably going to be on that site all of 2 seconds and be like, nah, no thank you, I'm out of here. And again, we all know Google hates that. Google knows now that it's starting to learn that your site isn't really all that great. Okay, what's bad contrast look like? This is bad contrast. I think it's 9% or 10% of men are colorblind. It's a big number. And this is more than just color blindness. When I stare at this middle one, this blue on red for a while, my eyes twitch. It's doing more than just giving me a hard time to read. Okay? This is good contrast. I want everybody to take a look at this. if pages were exactly the same, if the websites were exactly the same, would you stay on this one longer, or would you stay on this one longer? I mean, we'd stay on this one longer. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. And we all know that Google loves that. If you get an individual to search for something, they land on your site, and they stay on your site, that's all gravy to Google. They love it. Simple things, too. That was just a simple thing. Text size and spacing. Again, we're talking about on page time. If your site is filled with this, rather than this, my personal opinion is my eyes are going to wear out. I'm going to get tired and fatigued of reading this. I'm going to move on. What's that equate to? Less time on your website. You come down here, my eyes are not working as hard. So I'm more than likely going to spend more time on your website. So again, I'm talking about usability, but this is Google's language. Time, on-page time is Google's language. That is a major tell for Google. All right, remove your broken links. We all have them. It happens. We build a site, we make pages, and then I come back and you might change your URL, or you might delete a page, or something. This is a pain in the butt for individuals using assistive technology, again, because they're using screen readers. And if they're navigating your site using the links, and they just keep getting 404 errors and stuff, I mean, that's very frustrating. Deleting images and video files, renaming or moving pages. These are all reasons that I've had this problem before. So one thing, after I build the site, I always go back and check everything. I run my little software on there to make sure I got no broken links, make sure I've got no forgotten pages. I'm a knucklehead. I'll make a page and I will forget to attach it to the blog post or attach it to the magazine. It'll just be floating out there in cyberspace. How to fix your broken links? I mean, it's an easy process. You hit delete. You highlight and hit delete. I mean, there is software too. You get plugins that can run to tell you where your broken links are, allow you to fix them. All right. I'm going to offer our 11 easy steps. This kind of come from another accessibility talk I do. These 11 easy steps will help you become more compliant. They're not at all the end and beginning of compliance. You can do all of these things and you still might not be compliant. These are just typically the top 11 things. Really, I got like the top 15 or 20 things, but they won't all fit on there. That I see when I go through audit sites and remediate sites. And a lot of these have to do with SEO as well. So if you just know these things from the beginning, it adds almost no time to your project. This is good picture taking material, so if anybody wants to. I can go through real quick. Provide alternative text. We talked about that. Label all your form elements or input fields. This is very important as well. If you've got a contact form, make sure it's labeled properly. Again, an individual using assistive technology won't be able to figure it out. And placeholders are not what that is. A lot of people add a placeholder inside your input value, and that will not be reached by assistive technology. It's a common mistake. Add closed captions to videos, audio descriptions to animations. We talked about that. Ensure your color contrast meets minimum threshold. We talked about that, 4.5 to 1 or 3 to 1 for text. Make your link text descriptive and underline them. This has to do with not making color the only means of conveying information. Because if an individual is colorblind, it's just you got blue letters there, which tell us that it's a link. They're not going to know that's a link. So what I'll do is I'll stick an underline under there. So you just want more than one way to convey that it's a link. Don't use color as the only indication of meaning. Kind of has to do with that one. Font size at least 16 and spaced properly when enlarged by 200%. Now this is another big one. We talked about font size, but spacing by 200%. I think it's actually 300% now to 2.1. Everybody's mobile now. Google even said more than 50% of people are mobile and they love mobile. So what happens when you build a site on a desktop and if you put it on mobile, you gotta make sure your text is all spaced properly. Make sure it's not overlapped. And also make sure that one thing I learned from the National Federation of the Blind was that Two things. One, that I thought blind people were I thought it was just you were blind or you weren't blind. But the fact is the majority of people are somewhere in between. So what that does is that allows them to actually see stuff like this. So what I learned was a lot of people take their phones and they put it right up to their face. They have a little magnifying glass and they increase the size, of text. So you got to make sure that everything's still laid out properly when that's done. For when these individuals are really looking hard, they can still find what they want. Input errors by the user must be identified and explained in text. I'm sure everybody here has a contact form on their site. So when someone goes to your contact form, and I'm sure a lot of people too, you have certain things that are mandatory, that are required, certain things that are not. So what you want when an individual misses a required field, that you tell them that in text. So I don't have any good examples here, but it's actually a pretty easy process. And the majority of them do this on their own. Gravity forms, contact form 7 is good. I like gravity forms better. Alright, you should be able to navigate the whole site using only your keyboard. This keyboard navigation, take your mouse, throw it in the drawer, and just use buttons like your tab, space, enter, up, down, left, right. This allows them basically, when you hit tab, you go to a site, you hit tab, your URL should light up, and then as you hit tab, you should come down to the right, almost like a typewriter, down to the right. This is how you should be doing it. This has a lot to do with your headers. If your headers are out of whack, your navigation is going to be out of whack. This is very, very important. Very important. Use flexible timelets for your site, if any. Now, I also give a WordPress security talk, and I say log out idle users. So there are scenarios where you need to log out idle users, especially when you're dealing with banks, credit cards, anything that's got pertinent private information. But if you're going to do that, make it very easy for that end user to gain more time. A button pops up saying you're about to run out of time, press this button to gain, I don't know how much time you want, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 seconds. Just don't do 5 seconds. Provide skip nav links to skip your repetitive content. This is huge. Again, when you're tabbing, you go to a site, you hit tab, you're going to come right here. Now, more than likely, 90% of the sites out there, as you tab, you're going to run into the big, giant, beautiful drop-down nav menu on that site. Now, as developers, designers, we all like nav menus. The bigger, the better, because you can charge more money. Okay, but the fact is that most people don't realize that every page on your site that user goes to has to navigate through that. Every page to get to the body of content, and that can be very, very, very frustrating. So what you do is add a skip link. So you hit tab, your URL lights up. If you hit tab again, the next thing that should light up, I always make is the skip link button right here. Most new things have it. If you don't have it, if you have an old theme or something, you can get a plugin. They have plugins that'll add it. But what that does, that allows you to skip that nav menu and go straight to the body of content. You can actually put an href wherever you want on the page. That'll take the user there, but you want to put it on the main body of content. All right. Here are some accessibility testing tools. Everything I offer is free. Everything. There's not a single thing I offer you here that you got to go through me or you got to pay or anything. Okay, we got Axe Chrome. This is my favorite. You can put it as a. I use Chrome, so I add it as a Chrome. I add it as a Chrome little widget, whatever. Extension. Yes, thank you. Chrome extension up there. Same with Wave and same Google Lighthouse. So what you do is you go to your page and you just inspect. I use Chrome and I'm a window user, so I right click. Window pops up, I hit inspect, and then anybody here who does that knows this whole right side of your screen turns into inspect, and up, down, and audits. The audit is for the Google Lighthouse, but you hit the little arrow next to the audit, drop down menu comes down, and that's where your axe is. And you hit that, and it'll test your site. Very easy, very, very easy. And when it pops up an error, you can click the highlight button, and it'll actually show you where it is, and it'll show you the code, and it'll a lot of times suggest how to fix it. Wave is good for headers. Google Lighthouse is good. It gives you an actual 1 through 100 score. And a little side note about this is I just learned that if you can score better it's a 50 on Google Lighthouse score, you're the top 10% of the internet. Think about that. You could just get a 50, a failing grade in Google Lighthouse, you're top 10% of the internet as far as accessibility is concerned. And if you're in a competitive market, this is a competitive edge. Microsoft, a lot of companies are doing this because they understand it's a competitive edge, accessibility. You will set yourself ahead of the people fighting at your ankles. All right, we got contrast ratio checker, very easy, contrastratio.com. This is all easy stuff. WordPress accessibility tools. This is our plugin. We put a lot of cool stuff in there, but that's not why I'm here. I don't even want your email. It's on the repository. You can get it, you download it. I ask for nothing. It's just got a bunch of great. All right, some more accessibility tools. If there's anything I get you guys to do when you go home, it's add this to your site. Userway. I have nothing to do with this company whatsoever. I get nothing. And all they ask for is your email. It's not a paid thing. What this does is if you go to my site, stpetedesign.com, S-T-E-P-E-T-E design.com, and down the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little piece of CSS, a little button, that any individual goes to this site, goes to my site, they can press this button, they click the button, and a menu opens up and allows them to do things like increase font size, desaturate, fix color contrast ratios, sets up your page and links or HTML, does all kinds of cool things, completely free, and is a tremendous help to low vision individuals, really any disabled individuals. If there's two things, I'm going to get greedy here, ladies and gentlemen. If there's two things I can get you to do, the second thing is to add an accessibility statement to your site. So you go there, you go to the W3C, they're the real deal. That's, again, this is completely free. And they will ask you a series of questions. You fill it out, take about 15 minutes, and at the end, they give you a PDF. Well, that's your accessibility statement. You go add that into your footer, wherever you want. I put it in the footer. What this does is to me, the biggest thing this does is it gives individuals who have a problem with your website the ability to contact you and let you know. Because most of my talks are based on lawsuits and stuff, so in my opinion, this really helps. NVDA, this is a screen reader made by blind developers. So I implore anybody to, at the very least, YouTube screen readers, using screen readers. You'd be shocked, but you can download some free ones here and just play with it. It's pretty fun. But one thing I will say, for no matter what screen reader you use, know where the off button is before you turn it on. You will start to panic. All right, here's some resources, completely free resources, actual way back guidelines from W3C, stuff that you guys would be worried about, your accessibility laws by state. You go here, look up your state's laws. And also, too, you got a tax formula. The government gives you back 50 cents for every dollar you spend, up to $5,000 back or $10,000 spent if you're spending it on web accessibility. I think the two criteria is your company has to do less than $1 million a year, and you have to have less than 30 employees. If you do that, if you meet those two things, you can get money back.
What was that criteria again?
Less than $1 million in business and less than 30 employees.
Okay.
Questions?
Can you go back to that previous stuff?
This one?
Yeah.
Now my specialty is accessibility. I've done SEO for quite a while, but I'm definitely not an SEO wizard. So if you have any questions on SEO, I'll do my best. If you have any accessibility questions, I got the answer for you. Yes?
Will the slides be available?
Yes, I have not sent them in to this WordCamp yet. I'm sure I will, but you can. I have them on YouTube, on my site. We got a bunch of videos on there on how to. So, yes.
Are there Alexa skills for accessibility?
Alexa skills?
You know, Alexa.
Right.
If you put that on your website, it's something.
Right. I did not mess with that too much. So apparently I was speaking a little too much when I said I got the answer for you. I've not dealt with that too much, but that is very important. You had another question on here? Yes.
Just a small one. Your header structure, logical makes sense, H1 to 3 makes sense. But your point about the header should accurately reflect the text. doesn't always work. Because that means you couldn't use metaphors, you couldn't use innuendo, you couldn't use certain expressions in what's below. So it's severely restricts some writing I do actually.
I agree with that. But the problem you run into is that low vision individuals use the headers to navigate the site. So when they come across a header, if they want to read the content, they're going to decide that based on the header. So then they can hit enter, and then it'll go to the body of content, so they can read. So you're kind of in the middle, you're kind of stuck. You want to be able to do things like you talked about, but you also want to be able to convey what that is. So, do we have any other questions? I know we got questions out there somewhere. As soon as I leave, you're gonna have questions. Yes.
What do you see with organizations that think they've addressed accessibility, but then you come across what's the biggest mistakes they're making as they're making that effort?
That's such a big question. There's so many things. I mean, really, the 1 through 11 I was showing you, those are the most common things I see. A lot of times, it's just such a wide question. But I will say that there are so many companies that come and be like, "Oh, we're accessible. Yeah, we're good." And then I just do a quick 5-minute test, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm sending a screenshot with 7 errors." You know, the most common are color contrast, descriptive text, things like that. If you had 100 errors on your homepage, probably 50 or 60 of them are color contrast. Because if your theme's spitting out text in gray, or certain headers or whatever in gray, every single one of those is a fail. So those are usually the biggest. Yes?
I had a client who did deeply work on their site, and it was pretty good for him, and we're like, so what do you know in terms of, like, you've done the work, but then there's an update that comes out, like, do you know anything in terms of time frame that you show, like, hey, good faith, that you're trying to do these things,
Yes.
or, like
Yeah,
I
one-
said earlier, like, when are some people really
Right.
happy, and be like,
Yeah, they're absolutely so happy. It's going berserko right now. What we do is when we remediate a site, we say it's compliant up till now. That's it. If you want to add content, that's on you. Because, we've seen plenty of times where content's added wrong under a UL or something, tag. So just lots of things go wrong. So the majority of the times where clients that are worried about that, they'll retain us on a monthly. We'll just, a small fee, a couple hours a month, and every time they add new content, which 90% of the time is just a blog post, a couple blog posts, we go through that and we reevaluate that and make sure that's compliant. And then we give that, okay, now it's compliant up until now. But yeah, there's really no compliance. There's no guarantee that you're compliant tomorrow. None.
The second question, I noticed it when even just I'm an uptaker, so I'm speaking down, not seeing the word. The audio piece as well, like you said, same peak design, but like I thought it came out as SPD or STP. Because you're like STP, but I thought it was STP. Do you know if there's video, the audio is unclear, whether that's accessibility?
Well, yeah, right. There's no program that's perfect. YouTube, there's no program that's going to give you every word that's going to be perfect. Even as when I do WordCamps, people are sitting there typing as I go. It's not going to be perfect. So you want to keep your errors down to a minimum, but that's just the way it is. Yeah, there are going to be errors. And with YouTube, it's cool. You can go back there and clean it up. If you do notice an error, you can go back in and clean that up. But I don't really see that being too much of a problem because, 95% of it is going to be good. So I hope that answers that. Yes.
Well, like you said, compliant, like how do you judge that? So like if I use Google tools and I do an audit and I get a 90%, is that compliant?
No.
100%?
Nope. You can use all the automated tools you want, and those automated tools are made to only get the low-hanging fruit, stuff that should have been caught, in development already. You have to go through and do manual tests afterwards. You have to do your manual tests. If I could sit here and talk all day about that. You can go to our site and I have videos on how to manually test, how to run tests. I'll show you how to run automated tests and manually test your site. But you go to the WCAG guidelines at the W3C and I give you a list of actual guidelines. It's legally speak. It's hard to tell what it is. But And that's a hard one, yeah. Definitely, you have to manually test, because your automated tests are gonna only catch a fraction. They only catch the easy stuff. So, I think, am I close? Am I done? All right, I appreciate everybody coming out, learning about accessibility.